Hey there, welcome to Hiking for Health, California. And we're doing another campground review. This time we're going to review Morro Bay State Park. Morro Bay State Park is one of those ones where a lot of the folks who go there are not going there for the state park. They're going there for the surrounding area. And if you like camping, camping is cheaper than a hotel room in most cases. So Morro Bay State Park is one of those. So getting into the campsites themselves, we're going to get right into it because I try and keep these around 5-ish minutes if I can. It's easy to digest. So 5-minute review. The campground itself and the campsite itself, let's go with that first. I got to say I wasn't very impressed. There's not a lot of cover, not a lot of foliage between the actual campsites, and so you kind of feel like you're packed in and you're forced to deal with your neighbors. If you have good neighbors, awesome. If you don't, so sorry, that's just the way it is. And so yeah, in our camp trip we didn't have too many trouble with the neighbors, but it was a family with little kids and stuff like that, and so there was some noise and kind of stuff like that involved, but it wasn't bad. So we didn't have trouble with the neighbors. It's just that you really don't feel like you ever have any kind of nice, quiet campground privacy, because no matter where I looked, I could see somebody else's camp. No matter what they were doing, I could just see, hey, there's the camp host sitting over there talking with so-and-so, and there's that other camp over there, and they're doing this, and so obviously they can see into our camp. So whatever you're doing in camp, and it's not like you're supposed to be doing anything top secret, but you know what I mean? There's no seclusion there. A lot of them, you just kind of feel like you're packed in there and things like that. And the other thing is the camp itself for Morro Bay. When you look at a map of Morro Bay State Park, it looks huge because it fairly is. But the actual campground part of Morro Bay State Park is tiny. It's very small. So they cram you in there, and there's not a whole lot going on in the campsite itself. They don't have any kind of a camp store. They don't have any kind of stuff like that. They do have decent toilets that were fairly clean. They have showers. So if you need that when you're camping, you got them and things like that. So that helped it up a notch. The big thing for Morro Bay State Park is the surrounding area, what you're going to get. Right across the street, still part of Morro Bay State Park, but it's across the highway. And it's an easy cross in the evenings most of the time, is you have a whole museum and a shop, so that was nice. I'll go along with that. You've got access to a marina, so if you're a boater, you can do that. If you're a kayaker, you've got an area to put in and things like that. So all those helped it with its score, and you have direct access to the actual town of Morro Bay, which is a place that is an absolute favorite of my wife and I. We have fallen in love with that town. It's an amazing little town just sitting there right off of Highway 1 with the great Morro Rock looming over it. It's fantastic. Love that town. And for Morro Bay State Park, I mean, you technically could walk to it. If you've got the leg muscles and the knees for it and things like that still, you can walk into town in about 10 minutes and walk around and stuff. And it's not a short walk. It'll be a bit of a hike, but you can do it. But if you're driving in, it's 5 minutes. You're right there, and all the way out to the rock and stuff. So that's the big draw right there. Is you get a campsite that is less expensive than a hotel, and then you have access to not just Morro Bay, but that whole Central Coast area. If you're going to stay there for a little while, and you have your car, you can get all over the Central Coast area. You can get to San Luis Obispo, Pismo Beach, all that nice area, Cayucas, everything. Trying to give shout outs to all the cool towns we like. But yeah, so a lot of good stuff in the area. Campground itself, is kind of how I feel about it. And so with that said, I'm going to score Morro Bay State Park a 3.5. Also, I always like to mention, because I know it's important to some people. Some of you guys like, oh, why does anybody care? And some people do care. I'm on the Verizon network, and there was cell signal the whole time, because you're pretty much right there in the town, in the city of Morro Bay. and stuff like that. So we had a full cell signal the entire time we were in the campground, in our campsite itself and stuff like that. So Morro Bay State Park in a nutshell, I give it a 3.5 because although the surrounding area is fantastic and it's located in a spot where you've got stuff to do and you can get into all kinds of amazing things, the campground itself, kind of lackluster. Doesn't have a whole lot in the campground itself. And some of the amenities like the toilets and the showers, mostly clean, but not, you know. So there it is, 3.5 for Morro Bay State Park.